let's look at some of the facts here. You know, the Republicans are running a whole bunch of candidates for governor here in Colorado, and the Democrats are running 8 candidates too, but the media hasn't talked about, you know, over half of them at all, and we've barely heard anything about it. And the reason why this is important is because instead of actually fighting amongst each other, we liberals need to, you know, unify even the bourgeoisie, Hillary bots. But for right now, I'm trying to organize a core of supporters. November 6, 2018, this is the date when 33 Senate seats are up for re-election. 33 Senate seats. So we have 100 senators, and a third of them, their seats are up for re-election. In the House of Representatives, House election, all the seats are up for grabs. All 435 seats are up for grabs next year. So that Scott Tipton, I don't know. I feel like I should just throw my name into the mix just to, you know, put my voice out there. But it's most of western Colorado, so that's like what? The rich people, right? And Pueblo. The rich people and Pueblo in southern Colorado. So there's still some, you know, poor rural folks, I think, that I would appeal to. Now, 35 seats in the House of Representatives are up, 33 Senate seats are up, and that's in Washington, D.C. 14 governorships are also up for re-election. So that's here in Colorado. The governor's up for re-election next year, November 2018. So there's, you know, Republicans, there's Democrats. I heard there's 6 unaffiliated candidates. So I think it's independents and that's Greens. And electorally, I think the most powerful way to, you know, for an independent to actually, you know, expand their vote. I'm a Green Party. I'm registered Green Party right now, and I feel good about it, but I just don't know if Pueblo has anybody else that's Green Party here. And so I'm Green Party, and there's 6 unaffiliated, you know, independents out there. The Green Party will probably choose their candidate, but I don't know if there's going to be more than one. If there's only one choice, then it would make more sense for me to be an unaffiliated voter. Unaffiliated voters actually double the power that they have electorally, because not only can they vote in the Democratic primary for those that they want, unless there's just one clear winner and it doesn't matter, they could also jump into the Republican race and vote for the shittiest candidate and, you know, sabotage the Republican primary. So to stay independent, you have the option to, you know, fuck up the Republicans or vote for the best Democrat. So the unaffiliated voters would actually have twice the power as a, you know, regular voter who has to vote in that primary. And then everybody gets to vote in the general election. First, I do got to see what the Greens are going to do. They're going to have a convention here in a couple of months. And, yeah, so right now with the Democratic candidates in Colorado, they suck, okay? So, okay, you got Kerry Kennedy, you have Eric M. Underwood, Noel Ginsburg, Adam Garrity, Ed Perlmutter, Mike Johnston, Moses Humes, and Michael Schroeder. Okay? So let's, one more time, because you got to say these a million times to get these, you know. You got Michael Schroeder, the anti-voter. You got Moses Humes, Mike Johnston, Ed Perlmutter, Adam Garrity, a rarity, Noel Ginsburg, Eric M. Underwood, and Kerry. Come up with a Pueblo Citizen 10-point platform for Colorado. I'll probably end up calling it the Pueblo platform, but that's not for the city of Pueblo, it's for Colorado, and I'll have to call my Pueblo platform, which I haven't come up with yet. I got an idea. Sweden's trash to electric program is, I don't see what the fucking downside of that could be. What's the downside with taking trash and making electricity out of it? Big landfill, you know, big government. You're going to make government smaller. You're going to get the landfill business. You're going to, you know, cut them out from, you know, taking a bunch of trash and burying it under dirt. I don't know if that's really depriving them of an opportunity. Yeah, I guess so. They won't profit anymore, but it's good for the environment and it's good for the rest of us. So fuck big landfill. Okay? Let's get Sweden's trash to electricity here in the city of Pueblo. But for Colorado, I've already written up this list. That just says disclaimer. It's just a caveat because I don't want you to think that I'm only a one-issue candidate. The legalization of marijuana, I think, is the vanguard issue. It's the one that, you know, I've been fighting for decades. You know, my entire life I've been on the good side, right? On the good side. And we were winning and we won. Okay, so now let's keep this victory. Let's hold on to this victory. Let's protect this revolutionary change here in Colorado. So that's my number one issue, but I also believe in ranked choice voting. I'm pro-unions. I want to go green, moratorium on foreclosures, free health care, curb police violence, do something about the homeless and the poor, get some democracy in our school system, and free child care. So that's all 10 of my issues. So I have a more, I'm not just a one-issue candidate, but let's just take that one issue, okay? So out of these 8 candidates, who's going to protect the legalization of marijuana? Which one of these candidates will do? Candidates that are running for the Democratic primary here in Colorado, the ones that have declared, they still have another 6 months for more to jump in. But if I was to vote today, I'm going to rank all these assholes. The Democratic Party is in shambles. The Democratic Party is going to fucking lose. There's George Brockler has already won this goddamn thing, and I don't see, out of all these 8 candidates, there's only one that is worth a damn. Okay, the rest of them I don't, give a fuck about. So maybe two. Okay, so when it comes to marijuana, Ed Perlmutter, he introduced legislation to try to protect banks who are involved with the marijuana industry from getting in trouble. So that's progressive, right? He was protecting the bankers, which, big shocker there, but it's illegal federally, so they didn't want to get in trouble. Now, you have Adam Garrity, who will protect marijuana. In fact, he said that the National Guard should be used to stop the Adam Garrity understands the political situation. He knows that there's, 2 governments, a state government and a national government, but the U.S. Constitution was actually written to limit their power, right? They don't have all the power. They wrote a supremacy clause, but so does the state constitution. So which one's supreme? They battle it out all the time. So Adam Garrity understands that, the marijuana industry is to be protected and that it needs to be protected, and that, if it takes the National Guard, yes, Colorado will have to nationalize the National Guard and probably all the, cops and deputies and whatnot in order to stop the feds from coming into our state and fucking with anybody that's doing anything with marijuana. No, we voted for this. This is what Colorado wants. Fuck you, feds, okay? So Adam Garrity is the only one that's got a crystal, clear-eyed, starry-eyed, idealistic vision of marijuana and how it should be protected. But he understands, really, it's just the other 7 candidates have been completely silent about this, or at least all of them but one, okay? So Kerry Kennedy, let's see, Kerry Kennedy, what is Kerry Kennedy? Hi, y'all. How y'all doing? I care about y'all. I care. I really do. I care. I care about you, and I care about my truck. I care about my cowboy hat and my belt buckle, because I'm just a good old redneck woman here. Right? Just being all fluffy and, if that wins her, votes, good for her. I only want to talk about the policies and the issues. That's all I want to talk about. So where's Kerry Kennedy on the legalization of marijuana? I asked her on Twitter what she thought about it. Fucking ignored me. I know she's, somebody on her staff is reading that shit. Doesn't say a goddamn word. Are you trying to get my vote, or are you not trying to get my vote? And then Eric M. Underwood, he's a Republican. I have no idea what the fuck he even believes or why he's a Democrat. So, hi, y'all. I'm Kerry Kennedy, and I just care about all y'all, I care about your education. I care about your kids. And I don't want our children to just be test takers. I want them to be creative and problem-solving thinkers. I really care and love Colorado. I love the environment, and I love all of you all. And, it's time for a change, and that's why I decided to run for governor. So, Kerry Kennedy, I know she's pro-choice. I know that she admits to climate change. I know she's in favor of universal health care. But what's her plan? State health care? What are we going to do in order, the state legislature went ahead and raised marijuana taxes up. So I think you should protect the marijuana industry, right? If you want universal health care. Eric M. Underwood, right? He's a Republican. He ran Republican twice. Once as a congressman and once as something else. So, and he lost. He only got like 3 votes. So him and his 2 friends voted for him. But he's been in 2. Kim Underwood has been in 2 Republican elections 2 times, and he got smashed, and he talks like a conservative. So I don't know what, he's just the anti-Trump, Eric M. Underwood won't protect the legalization of marijuana. None of these assholes will. So it's not just, okay, so Kerry Kennedy won't protect marijuana. Eric M. Underwood won't protect marijuana. Noel Ginsburg won't protect marijuana. Adam Garrity will, of Pittsburgh, so he's the only one. And Ed Perlmutter, he will probably defend marijuana. I don't know for sure, but Ed Perlmutter is actually shockingly surprising. I kind of dismissed him because he was old, and since he was a U.S. congressman, I already felt like he had too much sort of entrenched power. But he's pro-democracy. He's in favor of Dodd-Frank, so he wants to get money out of politics, and he passed that bank bill, So Ed Perlmutter passed that bill protecting the bankers, or trying to get protection for the bankers that were in the marijuana industry. So that's good. He seems to be leaning in the right direction. But let's check out Mike Johnston. Mike Johnston is probably the favorite, I would say, in the Democratic Party to win. Mike Johnston, however, is, there's a lot to be desired. When it comes to him being the anti-George Brockler, he has to be as strong as George Brockler, but be able to smash George Brockler when it comes to progressive issues. I don't see Mike Johnson staking out progressive issues right now. I see him being very conservative and saying very little of substance. So Mike Johnston, when it comes to marijuana, yeah, he might have, he's a state senator, so I guess he helped, pass the legislation or the laws that we all work with. But he also passed an amendment to make sure marijuana concentrates are illegal. So that means you cannot put, I think hemp oil is you just take alcohol, you take marijuana, you put it in a bowl, and you put alcohol on top of it, and that's it. That's not a lab. That's not like a meth lab. That's, that's just a bowl of marijuana with alcohol in it. But he made sure he passed that, so you can't make, concentrates in the privacy of your own home. Well, why did he need to do that? He's not protecting the marijuana industry like this is a revolution that needs to be protected. He is sitting there trying to roll things back. He's trying to scale it back. And what would be the problem with hemp oil is like literally fucking medicine, Instead of having to smoke it, now you can eat it, Why would you be against, private citizens doing something like that? This is just fucking politicians being afraid that their power is slipping from their hands, so they just keep on, tacking on. Well, we got to make sure it's this and it's that. No, we got to make sure it stays legal, okay? That's not even guaranteed yet. We need to consolidate and institutionalize the legalization of marijuana. And only one candidate out of the entire Democratic Party, out of all 8 candidates, will do that. Mike Johnson is trying to roll back the, gains of the legalization of marijuana movement, and he is not consolidating or institutionalizing this. He's running backwards. I mean, he was with work, Teach for America, so of course they're biased against people with marijuana, just like the federal government FAFSA, the federal government loan program, is biased specifically against marijuana. So you have Moses Humes. Moses Humes actually might be, one of the supporters of the legalization of marijuana. And then you got Michael Schroeder. So Mike Johnston actually leans more towards Michael Schroeder. So this motherfucker, Michael Schroeder, is not a Democrat. Michael Schroeder is a wolf in sheep's clothing. I swear Nixon or, Bush, this is 1971 that the war on drugs was passed. So if you're in favor of the war on drugs, you're a fucking Republican. Don't, fuck you. You're for big government. You want to take away my rights as an individual. Kerry Kennedy is not going to protect the legalization of marijuana. Eric M. Underwood definitely will not protect the legalization of marijuana. Noel Ginsburg, absolutely not. Wouldn't do it in a million years. Adam Garrity would. He definitely would. Ed Perlmutter might. Mike Johnston, he may or may not. I bet he won't. I think he leans towards Mike Schroeder. So Mike Johnson won't protect the legalization of marijuana. Michael Schroeder won't protect the legalization of marijuana. Only Ed Perlmutter might. Moses Humes. I think Carmen Humes may also, but only one candidate we are guaranteed, without a doubt, to have the legalization. The marijuana industry will stay intact and will get better and will be expanding. So that way, the culture, maybe that's just, people aren't used to it yet. We should have marijuana gardens in every city, every place in this city. Talked much about Moses Carmen Humes at all. I did all those other sort of biographical, sort of general, understanding with what I was able to read from the net. Now, take a look at Moses Carmen Humes, okay? He reminds me of a meme, this famous meme. So check out this meme. And he kind of reminds me of him. He seems like he's well-intentioned, seems like a good young man, but he seems very much by himself. Okay, so let's give this man, a fair shot. He's a citizen just like anybody else, and policy is the only thing that matters. So the Democrats, it'd be interesting to see how Moses Carmen Humes is treated by the Democratic Party. Now, that's assuming Moses Carmen Humes is a real person. I'm not entirely convinced that Moses Carmen Humes is a real person. He tried to get on the ballot here in 2016 for the U.S. House to represent the 5th Congressional District of Colorado, but he wasn't able to get on the ballot. And that's the extent of Moses Carmen Humes, his entire, his entire political legacy. He tried to get on the ballot 1 year ago, and he couldn't. So that's Ballotpedia. Good job, Ballotpedia. Way to, I don't even know why that's fucking mentioned at all. So that's horrible. That's the only thing that people can know about him. Now, Moses Carmen Humes, okay, so Moses, let's just go with Moses, right? You Christians, you know that, Moses took the slaves to the promised land. So he's got a Facebook page. The media has already skirted around him. They've also skirted around Michael Schroeder, and they've skirted around Garrity. So that means what? We're not going to represent everybody? Is that the kind of democracy you want to live in? No. We need to. 8 is a manageable number. So for right now, there's 8 candidates that's running for governor. I'll accept 2 more, okay? Feel for who this Moses Carmen Humes is. He essentially says that he wants to fight for civil rights. I asked him a question, and it took him a day to eventually get to me, but he wants to fix health care. He wants more jobs, schools, colleges, roads, bridges, and civil rights. And he also wants to make sure that the cities are using the tax money appropriately. That's good. Every single one of those things is fucking badass. Fix health care, more jobs, schools, colleges, roads, bridges, civil rights. That's what Noel Ginsburg's saying. That's what Mike Johnston's saying. That's what Kerry Kennedy is saying, right? All these watchwords. Oh, I care about health care, and I care about jobs and infrastructure. Well, the Republicans are saying the same shit. So how are the Democrats any better than the Republicans? You guys are using the same watchwords, but let's, the devil's in the details. Let's see your plans. I want to see your plan for every single one of your planks to your platform. Democrats, every single. What was my first indication that Moses Carmen Humes actually was running for office? Well, he's got a Facebook page that says Moses Carmen Humes for governor, and he's been posting recently. And his name is, been filed with the Secretary of State, according to one article. And the Secretary of State, that's fucking shameful. It's hard. I don't even know where do you find who's even, only the articles of papers and people declaring on Facebook. This is the only way that I have been able to find out who's running, who's not. There's 6 independents. I can't tell you which one of those independents are actually running, which one's my Green Party, candidate, because I like one of these Democrats. Now he's saying Happy Easter to everybody, right? Which, I don't know about that, but he's saying, can I really say, wow, now, Pueblo is wanting to get a special marijuana sales tax bill to fix the county jail and the Pueblo Zoo. Okay, I can see the zoo. What about your roads, schools? How about more activities to keep youth and adults? There is a fascist branch. There is rogue militia running around here in the United States, and they do need to be, ramped in. So he is essentially saying this. Marijuana gets all these marijuana sales, but they're using it to fix the county jail? Okay, we can fix the county zoo, he says. The zoo, right, it's a good educational experience and whatnot. But he's saying, why do we need to prioritize the county jail over everything else? We don't need to be throwing more people in jail. We need to figure out ways to keep them out of jail. That's exactly what he's saying here. And he's also saying that roads, schools, and activities to keep the youth and adults out of jail are more important. So his priorities are, helping people, giving people what they need, the opportunities and the, Maslow's hierarchy, all their, life essentials, so that way they could be great, productive members of society. Instead of, for every $1 we invest in education, we save $2 with jail. There is a Moses. I hope Moses is a real person. I hope Moses, I actually, compared to the rest of these, I'm going to have to rename and reorder these because I'm more inspired by Moses, and I think Moses is an important person to see how the Democratic Party treats the Democratic candidates. If these are the 8 candidates, he should be on the debate stage just like anybody else. We should have equal access to, the public broadcasting and the debate stage, and the Democratic Party should not be choosing, behind closed doors who the fuck they want, to the Democratic Party to represent. They should let the people decide and give everybody an equal shot, an equal, amount of money, amount of time, amount of effort. You cannot pick one over the other. So Moses Humes, I don't even know if he's real. It could be some weird person just doing some social experiment and saying, well, I, somehow got his name on the ballot and then somehow got a Facebook account, but it's spite of whether Moses Humes is real or not, in spite of him being probably a long shot candidate, probably doesn't have much funds, in spite of Moses Humes of Wheat Ridge kind of seemingly, I don't even know if he exists. So he probably is a weak candidate, but I don't even know if he's real. But he's not the worst. He's not the worst. Michael Schroeder of Basalt is the fucking worst, okay? He is public enemy number one. Fuck Michael Schroeder, the anti-voter, okay? Michael Schroeder of Basalt, the anti-voter. A little background, he's a fiberglass man. He owns some patents, so he thinks he's Mr. Smart Guy, knows every goddamn thing. He does business with Arizona, so he's not even here in Colorado doing business, right? Rather take his business elsewhere. Michael Schroeder is Colorado's public enemy number one, especially the Democratic Party. I'll say it that way. Michael Schroeder is the Democratic Party's number one public enemy. Because he's not a Democrat. Michael Schroeder, hey, what do you believe on? What do you believe in? What kind of voter, what kind of a candidate, what kind of governor are you going to be when you, get the gauntlet, when you get the powder? And the power, and Michael Schroeder, he said that he's going to go after potheads. He's going to go straight after the marijuana industry. He's sick of this marijuana shit, and he's going to fuck your whole life up. So if you're a one pothead or two person who believes in, peace, love, freedom, believes that Americans have a right to do what they want to their own bodies, then Michael Schroeder doesn't represent you. That's not liberal. Liberals are in favor of change, having liberals, liberal amount of marijuana everywhere. Here's some marijuana. Here's some marijuana. Everybody marijuana. That's a liberal issue. Nixon is the one that passed the war, on marijuana in 1971. And the reason why Nixon passed the war on marijuana is to go after black people and to go after protesters, left-wing activists. That's Michael Schroeder. Schroeder will go, directly into the fucking heart. The vanguard of the revolution, he's a reactionary. He's an anti-revolutionary. He's going to undo any of the gains that the progressives here in Colorado have already made. So he's definitely not a Republican. He's way more Republican than Eric Underwood, okay? So that's saying something. Eric Underwood was registered Republican, ran 2 campaigns as a Republican, but this Michael Schroeder, he's, pro-big business. He only cares about his own money, his own pockets. He's the selfish. He's a fascist, right-wing. He wants big government. He believes in expanding Richard Milhouse Nixon's big government 1971 war on drugs, war on marijuana program. He wants to make sure that the war on marijuana stays going on. He wants to throw potheads into prison. All the potheads need to go to prison for hundreds and hundreds of years. He is sick of the marijuana bullshit here in Colorado. So fuck you, Michael Schroeder, the anti-voter, okay? Schroeder is just he's a bigot against potheads. He's a right-wing fascist. He's a violent psychopath. He wants big government. He wants to come after the progressive. This is America's final frontier, right? Black people got the right to vote. Women got the right to vote. Now we all can smoke pot. Okay, America is the freedom, right? I believe somewhere something about freedom. America, that we have the right to our own body. I don't know. Maybe that's a human right. Eleanor Roosevelt wrote the human rights, right? The Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I think we have a right to our own bodies. But even if you don't fucking tell me that, even if I don't read that, yes, I do have a... So, fuck Michael Schroeder. Michael Schroeder, under a Schroeder administration, all of Colorado would just completely collapse. He stands in the polar opposite of morality. Me and him would not mesh well. He will bankrupt this state. When it came to getting health care, the state went ahead and raised marijuana taxes up. Michael Schroeder he won't be any fucking different. He'll talk all this shit about marijuana, but as soon as he gets in there, he'll say, give me that tax revenue so he can spend it on his fucking programs. Well, what's his programs? It seems like he just wants to hate, on potheads. That's his entire fucking platform for, is all I can tell. And so that's, fuck him. Fuck Michael Schroeder. He's a piece of shit. Michael Schroeder will piss in your cornflakes. Michael Schroeder will kick your dog. He will spit in your grandmother's face. He will not help your grandmother across the street. He will spit in their face. And when it comes to getting us health care or education or schools or the hospitals that we need, Michael Schroeder is, he's going to fuck marijuana users over, but then take the marijuana taxes because he's a double-thinking, hypocritical, fascist, psycho son of a bitch. So Michael Schroeder is the kind of man that will just throw trash into your yard and then just laugh about it and not give a shit. He's a litter bug. Michael Schroeder will break into your station wagon and take a dump in the back of it, This is the kind of man that Michael Schroeder is. And then say, well, it wasn't me. I didn't do nothing about it. Pretend he had nothing to do with it, right? And he would never, he's just a bad person. He's a piece of shit. He's such a huge piece of shit, he couldn't even fit into the sewers. He is God, man. He'd have to be picked up with a tow motor forklift. That's how big of a piece of shit he is, right? It would take, like, the Incredible Hulk to pick his fucking big piece of shittiness up. Not even his mother loves him. Michael Schroeder is just, you know, he's got a worldview that stops America from being America. And frankly, I like my country. I'm proud America. I'm a proud American, a U.S. American, right? South Carolina beauty pageant winner. But I'm a proud Coloradans have a right to their own body. So I think it's time for Americans to be American again. Remember when we, you know, valued liberty and freedom, and we didn't want, you know, people infringing upon our Fourth Amendment and First and Second and Third and Fifth Amendment, the whole Bill of Rights. I am pro-Bill of Rights. Is Kerry Kennedy pro-Bill of Rights? Is Mike Johnston pro-Bill of Rights? Is Noel Ginsburg? Is it Noel or Noel? Noel. It's probably Noel, right? So is that Ginsburg dude? Is he whatever I just said? So Mike Schroeder, the anti-voter, he probably doesn't even register his corporations in Colorado, so he's skirting the taxes anyways. He probably pays no taxes. With health care, okay? So, you know, he's going to go after marijuana, but then where's that money for health care and the roads and bridges and shit? Michael Schroeder, you're not thinking of the big picture here. You're not going to get two-faced, psychopathic Michael Schroeder, son of a bitch. He's not going to implement the Portugal decriminalize all drugs model. He's a honing missile directly into the heart of the legalization of marijuana movement, directly into the heart of the marijuana industry. So he's going to say he hates marijuana, but, you know, just like all these hypocritical politicians around here, he's going to have his hand out, you know, the first fucking moment his government needs some more money. These motherfuckers are all the same, okay? So he needed to tell you, you know, out of all the issues in the world, he needed to tell the world how much he hated the legalization of marijuana here in Colorado. That's the main thrust of why he's even in this race, to go after the potheads. His mama says that potheads just ruining the country. Daddy, I'll make you proud. I'll beat up. His dad probably did take him out to the woodshed, right? Just like Nixon's daddy did. But 100 years in jail? That's the only issue. Michael Schroeder decided to bitch about marijuana. He wasn't talking about the lack of health care access or educational opportunities, not about the homeless, right? Not about the lack of democracy, not about ranked choice voting, not about Sweden's trash to electricity program, not helping the energy crisis, not making it, you know, greener, not caring about the environment, not curbing police brutality. The main issue that Michael Schroeder talked about was fuck pot. So not taxes, not gun control, not, you know, I mean, not heroin, not even heroin. So he bypassed the heroin and the crack, and he said, look at you, fucking potheads. It's your fucking fault. What? What's my fault? Nothing. In fact, it's your fucking fault, not giving a shit about the poverty. That's why we got poverty here, because you don't give a shit. It's people with you, with your attitude, Mike Schroeder, why poverty and homelessness is still here. Have I made myself clear, Colorado? Out of all the Democrats, Mike Schroeder is the only one I fucking hate. I hate with the core of my being, and the problem isn't hate, it's fear. It's my fear that he actually might win, and he might be the, you know, the fucking face of the Democratic Party, somebody who is against the legalization of marijuana. So out of my top 10 issues, that was my number one issue, protect the marijuana industry. That's the reason why Colorado is better than Kentucky. All these states pretty much have the same, you know, the shit that's going on here. There's 8 other states, so if Colorado wants to keep going fucking backwards, you know, I got other choices, but I don't know any bad potheads. I don't know anybody that smokes marijuana and hurts other people. The culture of marijuana is also a very important culture, one of peace, love, sharing stories, you know, talking to each other. So for Mike Schroeder to come out, fuck Mike Schroeder of Basalt. Fuck him. Fuck the Mike Schroeder, the odor floater. Mike Schroeder, the gopher. Mike Schroeder is the gopher, the odor gopher. The choker, the gopher choker. Michael Schroeder, the gopher choker. Would you vote for a gopher choker? Well, that's Mike Schroeder, and he's an anti-voter. He don't even like you. Michael Schroeder of Basalt. He's in favor of assault against your all's heads. Mike Schroeder. Mike Schroeder, the bloviator. The bloviator, Schroeder? No, I don't think so. The anti-voter, right? He's a gopher choker. He's an odor floater, anti-voter, odor floater, gopher choker. So fuck Mike Schroeder, the anti-voter, anti-gopher, anti-voter, odor floater, gopher choker. Fuck Mike Schroeder. Out of all the 8 candidates that are running for the Democratic primary for Colorado governor, out of all of them, Michael Schroeder, hands down, probably one of the worst humans on the ballot, if not one of the human beings just ever on the face of the planet. So number 8 on my ranked choice ballot would be Michael Schroeder. Number 7 is Eric M. Underwood. Now, Eric M. Underwood does respond to you on Twitter. Eric M. Underwood is against Donald Trump. He said that's the reason that he became a Democrat. He used to be Republican, but then Donald Trump got elected, and then he's like, fuck Trump. So I agree with him on that. I agree with him that the health care will destroy millions of people's of health care. He's right about that. So is he for universal health care? What other issues does he stand for? I asked what liberal issues does he stand for. I asked what it took just over 1 million votes for Hickenlooper to get into office. So it would take, I would guess if you thought 1.1 million, if you're like 1.1 million, and that comes out to what, $10 a vote? If Victor Mitchell spends $10 million, $5 million on the primary and $5 million in the general election, that means for every single registered vote, they spent $10 of all this advertisement, all these advertising. I think I'd rather just give me the $10. No, I'm kidding. That's voter fraud. So yeah. Yeah, just some information about Colorado, so political operatives know what's up. So Moses Humes is number 6. Eric M. Underwood would be number 7 on my ranked choice voting. Moses Humes beats Eric M. Underwood. Hands down, Moses Humes actually strikes me as a person who gives a shit, who has a heart. Republicans are elitist. So Republican leaders are elitists who don't give a shit, and Democrats generally care about the poor and the vulnerable, right? And that what started it out, that used to be, that's how, it used to be the case. So Moses Humes, even if he's fake, he is better than Eric M. Underwood because whoever the person was, responded to me that he cared about health care, education, jobs. He wanted the marijuana money to be spent correctly. So actually that means he would be in favor of marijuana, right? If he's talking about the marijuana tax being, spent in, and then he's against private prisons. So he's talking about, let's put our money towards more preventive things, activities for the people, and that's a strong stance. He could get killed for that. He's standing up against, the jail getting any more money. The jailers and their friends, their fascist friends, might be pissed off about something like that. So Moses Humes is number 6 on my ranking. So Moses Humes kind of comes in from, one article actually said, well, we tried to get a hold of Moses Humes. He's not even running. Well, yes, Moses Humes is running. So automatically, the media doesn't seem to be giving Moses Humes his just desserts. Both, I would say, are fringe candidates, Eric Underwood and Moses Humes, and even that Schroeder. So I probably give Schroeder too much credit, to be honest with you. Moses and Eric, I don't hate either one of them. I hate that Schroeder. I fucking hate him. And even if his percentage of winning is less than 1%, fuck that guy. Nobody should take that piece of shit serious. Okay? Now, number 5. Number 5 candidate on my list of the best Democratic candidates out of the 8 in the state of Colorado is Mike Johnston. Mike Johnston, you're number 5 out of 8. So Mike Johnston, Johnston will protect Medicaid. I'm sure he's probably against the Trump health care thing too, Trump Care 2.0. He is in favor of the first 2 years of tuition being completely free. I like that, free college. It's only 2 years, and it's for vocational too, so that's good. So it's not just for your elitist snobs, but also for your Booker T workers out there. So you got vocational school, you got university for 2 years. As long as you volunteer, okay, you just keep adding more and more things. So while I like that first 2 years tuition free, it's one of the solid policy issues that Mike Johnston actually stands up for. One of substance, one of, he's a big education guru, right? So he's saying that it's possible for Colorado to get 2 years of tuition-free college and or vocational as long as you do volunteer work. So that's a good step in the right direction, but it's not good enough. Johnson is the Democratic darling. He almost seems like the inevitable victor of the Democratic race, but he's not going to beat Brockler. He can't beat Brockler. He doesn't stand up for Democratic progressive issues strong enough. And if he can't even tell us, the base, that he's a progressive, how's he going to, he's going to go against Brockler by running to the right and trying to be like a, Republican piece of shit. He should be a strong, progressive candidate, and he should take his licks. Stand up for the 2 years of free college. It's a good first step. So good for Mike Johnson for at least coming up with that policy issue. He also will protect Medicaid, so that's a good thing. He passed a bill that made chokeholds illegal. So he's not a totalitarian fascist. He does curb some police brutality. That's inspiring. That's helpful. But that's it. He's worked with poor children. He wants everybody to get a good education, get good jobs. He doesn't have a jobs plan. His free college, even though, I think it's a good first step, just the 2-year college program, the free 2 years of college for every Coloradan plan of Mike Johnson's is great. It's wonderful, but it sounds more like a Hillary Clinton plan. No, give us the vision, Mike Johnson. Give us the vision. You will be able to hammer out the details. I think you're smart enough to be able to hammer out the details. But if you go up there and you say that we could do 4 years of college for free, if you looked at the tax revenues of marijuana, because that was my idea for Kentucky, legalize marijuana, then all those trillions worth of tax dollars can just go to all these social programs. And so if Mike Johnson said, you know what, we could do 4 years of free college, I would listen to that. If he says this is how we could get health care too, this is how we could get child care too, I would listen to all that, but he's not saying any of that stuff. So he's saying very little. He's saying very little. And so I'm grasping at straws here. When I found out that Kerry Kennedy actually believed in climate change, I was like, oh, thank God. One of these Democrats said something that Johnson passed that, marijuana concentrates. He made it illegal. So no hemp oil for anybody, that might be suffering of cancer. You can't make your own hemp oil. You must go and spend it at the retail shops. And that's just such bullshit. People tax and regulate it, but in your own home, you should be able to raise gardens and what the fuck is it? I don't know. So I voted Mike Johnson this low for a reason. This was definitely intentional. I'm being critical of the Democratic Party for a reason too. Fucking up your games, Democrats. Shit. We saw how Hillary lost because she was a corporatist right-wing warmonger. We need progressive candidates. The majority of the American people love progressive ideas, so you just need a progressive candidate that stands up, says the progressive ideas. People are going to criticize you no matter what the fuck you say, so why not stand for something? Actually stand for something, and if you lose, you lost based upon, your own prowess, not based upon you being a limp, needle-dick fucking... Not even just Michael Johnston. I mean, I was looking, even Moses Humes, I just kind of talked to him today, and he talked about civil rights. He talked about health care. He's criticizing, prisons getting more money with the tax revenues. He's saying that there's bigger priorities, and he's right. So I already know, just by one little paragraph, a lot of policy ideas that Moses Hume stands for. He's actually, I wanted to kind of vote him, really high. I just couldn't get over the fact that I didn't know if he was real or not. I don't know if it's a real person, but, there's a heartbeat behind that, and if it's not just a troll, then Moses Humes is a really good fucking guy. Give, the stage to Moses Humes and see what he has to say. Since we're Democrats, we believe in democracy, so therefore Moses Humes is a part of this conversation just like anybody else. So I just feel like when it comes to all the Democratic candidates, except for one, out of all the Democrats, I discovered before I discovered the top candidate, before the, fucking enchilada, before the man, popped into my world, it was hard to determine which of these folks to pick. It was hard. Mike Johnson, it was hard to decide between you and Noel Ginsburg and Kerry Kennedy and Ed Perlmutter, which I voted all of them above you. And since it was hard, I probably, if the, number one candidate wasn't in there, then I probably wouldn't have put you so low. I probably would have put you at the very top. But, I'm just grasping at straws for some real policy issues. I'm only going to stick with the issues and the policy. Some of your personality matters about, whether or not you can stand up and be heard and, force people to the way that you're thinking, right, corral, get those votes that you need in order to pass your legislation, be a cheerleader, get all the corporations and businesses into the state. So, the personality it doesn't matter, like, who would get us, Medicare for all? Who's going to get us universal health care? I heard Mussolini got Italy universal health care. Mussolini. Harry Truman was talking about universal health care. And then you have Nader, who was for single-payer universal health care in 2000. Otto von Bismarck in the 1870s, 1880s, he gave Germany universal health care. 1870s. So over 150 fucking years ago, Germans, who have the best capitalist and socialist system, they do better, socialism and capitalism better than the United States does. They do them both better. That's what America should be doing. Kicking ass with capitalism, kicking ass with socialism, have a synthesis between the two. Of course, that's what you should do. You think with your mind and you feel with your heart, and then you got to, figure those two dynamics out. That's life. What the fuck? So I was actually excited to hear Carrie Kennedy saw a post something about being pro-choice. So Carrie Kennedy is for health care. She's pro-choice. She thinks that climate change is real. She's already got some real major, policy issues that stands to compare with Mike Johnston. So Mike Johnston, I just didn't see him actually, for all these Democratic candidates, except for the one, it was just hard to determine. They were equally vapid. They didn't present core principles, no real policies of substance, no clear vision. Only one had a clear vision on education, and that was Noel Ginsburg. He has a Switzerland model for education. Switzerland. There's lots of countries doing lots of, let's not just introduce Switzerland into the conversation, which I think has no homeless at all. So no homeless whatsoever in Switzerland. They're talking about the universal basic income there. Denmark, the happiest country in the world, they got the highest taxes, 80% tax rate. Sweden, Norway, Germany, Britain. Ginsburg also come across as very genuine. He says he's not running just for his own vanity. It's because, he feels like he needs to change things. That's good, man. That's really awesome. It's not just about his ambition. It's about him giving a shit. And then when he had his vision on education, I think Switzerland, introducing the Switzerland model for education, opens up the door to talk about all these other European countries and all the nations in the world. Australia, they got a badass democracy, ranked choice voting. It's just the states were supposed to be laboratories of democracy. So that was supposed to be a good thing. You could look over to one state, see what they're doing, and implement it here. Out of the great pool of ideas, the best ideas should prevail. So why would we not look at other countries who are doing, got these great programs that are successful and working and they're popular? Why would we not copy that model? That's fucking genius. Well, we all got to be original and just come up with our own shit all the time. That's good. It's innovative, but you can't recreate the wheel. Number 5 is Mike Johnston. Number 4, Carrie Kennedy. Now, Carrie Kennedy, she admits that climate change is real. She is in favor of health care. She did something else that I checked off on my top 10 list. I was like, oh, okay, so she actually does represent me when it comes to something. She said something. Let's see, pro-choice. She admits climate change, so she cares about the environment, okay? She cares about the environment. That's how low my standards were. I'm like, oh, wait, she said something about climate change. So she cares about the environment. Maybe she's better than Mike Johnston. Maybe. No, not at all, okay? Now, I like Carrie Kennedy being in the race. She seems fun and flirty, and, having a woman in the race is good. She's the only woman there, so I have to, check myself just to make sure I'm not being sexist with her. But when I think about her personality, okay, so it's fun and flirty, and I'm a little jealous of it because, she gets to go around laughing and having a good time and isn't worried about. I went to go visit my friend in the Fremont County Jail. And if you know anything about Fremont County, you know that they got some big-ass corruption. There's dead bodies in Fremont County, and it's by the public officials. So, big shocker. But when I go up there, I'm fucking nervous. I just want to visit my friend, make sure he's, still alive, make sure he's not dead. They said that he was still there. But eventually they gave me this bullshit reason and that bullshit reason, and then I was driving back home. And it was a woman. It was a white woman that did it. But the dead bodies are white women, too. So it just, I don't know. I feel like if the feds were to come into Colorado, does Carrie Kennedy call out the National Guard and fight the feds? Does she make, a strong principled stance, or does she want everybody to like her? If she's just trying to get everybody to like her, then I don't know if she'll make the decisions that needs to be made, such as, sure, if Carrie Kennedy knows that she can call the feds out or call the National Guard out in order to fight the feds, nationalize the National Guard. the Colorado governors in charge of it don't let, the federal government nationalize it. You nationalize it first. And I would nationalize every sheriff, too, and allow them to call up their posses. No, absolutely not. You cannot come in here. Marijuana is legal in the state of Colorado, and if you try to fuck with that, then you're going to go to jail. You're going to go to jail, and you're going to have, there's going to be consequences. You're not just going to be able to come in here and fuck with people no more. Sorry, feds, can't do that. So Kerry Kennedy's personality leads me to believe that she, doesn't understand or doesn't know. I don't know if she would felt the same way if she would have gone to that jail. It seems like she has a nice, happy life, and so good for her. You can do what you want. You can be happy. You can enjoy yourself. But there's a lot of people out here that's hurting, and we need someone that I like about Kerry Kennedy. She started her campaign out on a Facebook video. So Facebook Live is revolutionary. I've seen so much shit that happened on the Facebook Live. Even here at my house, for security, I almost think that putting Facebook Live and just turning it on, I don't even know how long it goes. You could go on for 8 hours and you could, videotape it anywhere. Facebook Live is revolutionary, and so she's, good. It's good that she knows that. So she's kind of, ahead of the curve on that front. She took a strong stance against Trump Care, pointed out accurately 600,000 Coloradans would lose their health care. She's in pro-choice. She's pro-choice. So that's a good thing, too. I do wonder, though, Hillary Clinton seemed to be pro-choice all the way up to 9 months, and I don't know. I feel like I want a line. I want a line drawn between when is the baby a life and when isn't it a life. 9 months? You waited 9 months before you got an abortion? Put that to the side. I'm happy that she's pro-choice, okay? So Kerry Kennedy is pro-choice. Kerry Kennedy is against Trump Care 2.0, and she admitted that climate change is real, so she cares about the environment. So I get to check, one of my 10 planks or maybe 2 of my 10 planks off. But for the most part, she's just as vapid. She doesn't come across as authentic. She doesn't have any concrete plans. She doesn't have any vision. So, Facebook Live is revolutionary. So, and keep your eyes on Kerry Kennedy because she gets nasty. She throws mud at the end. And so, that's a good thing, too. It helps for a better conversation, I think. But, yeah. Oh, Kerry Kennedy, I really care about y'all, okay? I do. I care so much. In fact, when I think about how much I care, I just burst into tears because I just care so much. And please. Kerry Kennedy is number 4 on my ranked choice voting list, and Mike Johnson is number 5. Sorry, Mike Johnson. In terms of who matches me and my beliefs, who will represent me when they're governor, there's another. There is another. So Ed Perlmutter of Varda, he's kind of the dark horse in this race, and I'm actually going to expand a little bit because I didn't do a profile on Ed Perlmutter. And generally speaking, the incumbents have a 95%, retention rate, which, I don't even think Stalin or Hitler had that fucking high of a retention rate. 95%. So essentially, if you have a political position, you'll get reelected into that same position. So I feel like he could raise not a single dime, but he's going to get into the debates, and he's a serious person. He's up there with Mike Johnson, but because I had picked Mike Johnson over Earl Perlmutter, I didn't give him a second thought. But Ed Perlmutter is number 3, and barely number 3, okay? So when I started reconsidering Ed Perlmutter, I got on his Twitter, and he's got a YouTube page. He's talking, about Dodd-Frank and how he's protecting it and how you should get money out of politics. He's marching for science. He's saying that he's admitting that climate change is real, so therefore, taking Kerry Kennedy's only policy of substance. So he believes that climate change is real. He's out there marching in defense of science, so he's in favor of science. And then the optics. He's got people surrounding him, and he's yelling, what does democracy look like? This is what democracy looks like. He gets campaigns at grocery stores, so he's actually meeting with his people. Everybody's got to go eat, so everybody, that goes to the grocery store, that's just amazing. Ed Perlmutter has been a delightful surprise for me. He's, authentic, he's real. Messages to George Brockler. I tweeted him asking him if he would protect the marijuana industry as governor. I have not reached out to Ed Perlmutter, so I think I actually will talk to him more on YouTube and Twitter. He's, there's the Vietnam War 50th commemoration. This is just some of, the flavor of who Ed Perlmutter is. Science is science. Shouldn't be political. Let's defend science instead of putting it in jeopardy. EPA dismisses half of its scientific advisors on a keyboard. So Ed Perlmutter, right? He cares about the climate, which is a step above Trump. Teacher Appreciation Day, so that's the teachers' union, and I do believe in public schools. I wish they were actually, pro-democracy. They're not. They're fascist institutions that teach, obedience and punctuality and just gets you used to the industrial factory, system that they're trying to indoctrinate you in the beginning when they first founded the Prussian. Perlmutter is fighting, to defend Dodd-Frank. He's saying that Trump care is going to take us backwards and Coloradans will suffer if it becomes law. He has a live reaction to the vote here. You can check that out. It's bad for the 24 million Americans who would lose coverage. It's bad for rural America. I'm not for sure who this bill is even good for. Man, Ed Perlmutter is going right after it. Attacking protections for Americans with pre-existing conditions is wrong. This bill will harm health coverage for millions. I offered an amendment to block the Wrong Choice Act, I think Trump care, until Trump releases his tax returns and we fully understand his conflicts of interest. That's another good point. Absolutely. He cares about his 1%. This is a massive redistribution of wealth to the 1%. Yeah, the tax returns should be known. If are we all supposed to just ignore our tax returns? Are we all not supposed to, we supposed to skip out on our income taxes because we're still at war and fuck the war? I think it's a good idea. Things that's good. There are three other things just from his Twitter account. He's proud to celebrate the National Small Business Week. So he's, yay, go small businesses. I heard they actually employ like 60-something% of all the new employees. Did you know new businesses and startups have accounted for 40% of new jobs over the last 20 years? Well, hell, I just said that, didn't I? And he says, I'm proud to join my colleagues in introducing the Equality Act today to fight for equality and end LGBT discrimination. Equality forward. So good for Ed Perlmutter. I am quite impressed. That was, there's Ed for Colorado, and then there's Representative Ed or Representative something. So he's actually got two Twitter accounts. But I'm very impressed with his YouTube videos are not getting enough looks. So the fact that he's actually, I don't know if he's like a Bernie Sanders, right? He just speaks the truth so he gets marginalized. But when I saw how he talked about Dodd-Frank, he was just very colloquial. Look, this is what I think, and this is how it's for me to choose Ed Perlmutter to be number 3. He's old, and so that was why I picked Mike Johnston over him. And I wasn't familiar with his policies, but the main thrust of his policies, we probably would agree with 90% of all the issues. And that's good, that's good. So he protected the banks from federal prosecution if they're involved with the marijuana industry. I don't know if he would protect the marijuana industry or not. He's going to be a part of this conversation from here until the end. He is a congressman, so he has to have a good knowledge of national issues and state issues, and he might get attacked for some of his national issues, even though they have, like with war. I don't know what the state of Colorado could do when it comes to stopping the American government and them declaring war. That's more of a national issue than a state issue, but, I don't know. He's going to push the conversation on. I like him, and it's actually, I feel like between him and Noel Ginsburg, I probably cheated Ed Perlmutter. He believes in democracy, and that's a vision. That's a vision that I really like because I don't actually think a lot of people defend democracy like they should. But it's not a clear vision. It's not a ranked choice. Is he in favor of ranked choice voting? Is he that democratic? How much are you for democracy, Ed? That's my number 2 issue, ranked choice voting. Will you accept ranked choice voting? Yes, of course you should, if you're progressive. So I need to know more about his, plans for all these different issues. He's going to carry the conversation forward. Every House vote, any landmark legislation, his name's going to come up from here until November 6, 2018. In fact, I think he might, I don't know if he's up for re-election or not. So that's Judgment Day, right? That'll be the day we decide who our next governor will be, Colorado. So I like that he's Democratic. I wish he had a more specific plan, but he didn't. And yeah, Ed Perlmutter's cool, so I expect a lot more from Ed Perlmutter. 2, my number 2 choice for Colorado's governor, for the Democratic candidate, Noel Ginsburg. So you can meet or talk to Noel Ginsburg at twitter.com/ I think, NOELDG. He's the man with the vision. Okay, so Noel Ginsburg had a specific vision. He said he wanted education to be better, but he says it should be the Switzerland model. Well, how come not the German model? Why not the UK model? Why not the Canadian model? Hell, why not the American model? Well, you like German? You like Switzerland better than us? Huh? Noel Ginsburg? You're going to take these foreigners' ideas, but you're not going to listen to us? I'm kidding. Switzerland, the model for the Switzerland is a apprentice system, so the business and the education system actually merge together, and that's a good idea. High-end, high-paying jobs, training the young apprentices. I actually heard Noel Ginsburg speak, but I like how authentic he comes across. He was a child slave. He was working in the factories when he was like 8 years old, and he said it built a lot of character, and he grew to love the working class people. I don't know if that's true. He might have also pitied them too because, being the factory owner's son, he could just, get up and go somewhere else, and he's a kid, working with these men who this is what they've dedicated their whole lives to. So it does seem like he gives a shit. It does seem like he seems a little paternalistic. He seems a little elitist, but then so is FDR, right? He was a traitor to his own class. So I think we should pay attention to Noel Ginsburg. He's spending his own money. He's a businessman. He hasn't been in politics for quite some time, and he's the workhorse. This is his own words. He's the workhorse, and all these other candidates are a bunch of show horses. And, Kerry Kennedy, total show horse. Mike Johnson, a little bit of a show horse. Noel Ginsburg says not only should education be better, but here's the model that we should, do. This is the Switzerland model. Let's employ the Switzerland model here in Colorado for our educational system. He's absolutely right about that. Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Germany, Finland, Iceland, they're all doing incredible things. We should do what other countries are doing well, steal the best ideas that, are out there, the best idea that's working. Let's just take those ideas. Sweden's trash to electric. Who gives a shit? Sweden came up with it first. Who cares? It's so successful that Sweden is having to buy their neighbors. Norway's trash. That's how. It's like, we ran out of trash. Give us your trash. That's Sweden. So the trash to electric program, just no-brainer, completely obvious. Noel Ginsburg is pro-choice, so that's a good thing. That's another policy issue. Also, the first town that he came to speak to was Noel Ginsburg picked Pueblo to be his first city that he opened up his campaign to, is that he just wants to show that he cares about the other cities out there. It's not just Denver, it's not just Boulder and Colorado Springs, but the Pueblos too. The 100,000, cities, and probably all small city towns is number one to Noel. He wants that rural vote. He wants to, appeal to a broad spectrum of people. So that's what he seems to care about the most is the rural public. To me, that's what it sounds like. Because he chose Pueblo first, right? Could have easily gone somewhere in Denver. I think he does speak, everywhere. But Pueblo was his first place that he stopped. And so there's a reason why he started his campaign right here. Maybe it's Pueblo specific. It's blue-collared Hispanic town. So maybe he's, reaching for Hispanic voters. Maybe it's the union voters. Maybe he has a woman here that he loves. I don't know. But he loves Pueblo. Out loud here, there's actually like 3 candidates. Their main thrust, their progressive, vision just shines through more than anybody else. And that's Moses Humes. He's a progressive. Moses Humes, whether he's real or not, is a progressive. He's standing up to the private prison industry. He could get shot for that. That's, standing up to the military-industrial complex, standing up to these, they're shooters anyways, and they get away with murder, right? They got the power, the will to be corrupt. Look at, Fremont County. Fremont County is corrupt as fuck. They should recall that sheriff. If, that main dude doesn't get shot, it's dangerous. What he's doing is dangerous. It's right, and it needs to be done. But, so the other 2 ones, Ed Perlmutter and Moses Humes, they're progressiveness. So I almost feel like I feel like they might be better than Noel. The rest of Ed Perlmutter is progressivism, okay? So Ed Perlmutter is right, okay? I like Ed Perlmutter. He's a good character. And Moses Humes, at least that one little paragraph that he typed to me, he showed that he's willing to talk to me, so he's not an elitist, braggart. Doesn't think that they're better than me and actually says, okay, you seem like a voter and I'll go ahead and respond to you because I want to, the fact that they wouldn't respond to me, that should worry all voters. All voters should be worried about that because if they don't talk to me, I'm a citizen, I'm just Joe Q. Public, I don't think that they would be like, well, I remember when you said, that one guy was an asshole, and they don't actually know me to dislike me. So that means they're just being dismissive of anybody who has questions for them. You should be allowed to ask questions and, hear their concerns. And if you cared about, my issues, why would you not tell me? What do you think about the marijuana industry? I will protect the marijuana. See how easy that was? I mean, what will you do about health care? I will protect health care. What will you do about ranked choice voting? I will do everything that I can to increase democracy and get ranked choice voting and make it if you agreed with me, now either A, you're stuck up and you don't want to talk to me, or B, you disagree with me and you're the opposite. Well, if you're the opposite, either way, if you don't respond to my questions, then you leave me to, my imagination. And my imagination is you have a bad staff who doesn't pass along messages, or you don't give a shit about me, you don't give a shit about answering me, or you believe the exact opposite, so you're not going to tell me what you truly believe because you don't want to lie, so you just might as well, I'll be quiet and maybe he'll just go away. We got a Twitter president. Twitter is going to be important, and it's a good, social media is a good way to actually reach out to the public. So Noel Ginsburg, you got number 2 spot, but just barely. Ed Perlmutter and Moses Humes is right. The number 1 candidate for the Democratic Party in the state of Colorado is Adam Garrity. Adam Garrity, okay? This motherfucker, he's a badass. He's a real motherfucking Coloradan. He's homegrown. He's been here for the last decade. He will totally protect the marijuana industry. Of course he'll protect it. He dabbles in cryptocurrency, so he's more evolved than all the rest. Before Adam Garrity came onto the scene, I'm grasping at straws. I'm like, oh, she believes in climate change. Thank God Kerry Kennedy believes in climate change. Maybe, they'll actually do something about the environment. I don't think she has any plans, but man, she at least cares about the environment. He cares about the environment. He's a check on the police. He makes fun of Trump. He's just so many good things actually about him. I can't not talk good about him. There's just a million things. Talks about, how the police can abuse their authority, so that's good. Sometimes cops can be bad. I asked him that question, and he talked to me. He actually talked to me about all these issues. So he, on his Facebook, was, criticizing the police. There are bad cops out there, and anybody that thinks all cops are good, you're dumb as fuck. You're also a fascist fucking Nazi bootlicker. This isn't fucking Nazi Germany. This is America, okay? Just because somebody says, hey, I'm the boss, you're just going to, okay, yes, sir, whatever you say. Get the fuck out of here. That's your public education making you fucking kiss ass like that. So he believes that there should be a check on the police. I don't know if it's a citizens complaint authority. I don't know if we should test them on the Bill of Rights and Constitution. Colorado and the U.S. Constitution, make sure they have, all the statutes. They make sure they understand the 3 branches of government. Make sure they have all the Bill of Rights memorized. And then if there is a criminal cop, then they should go to jail. And that's exactly what Adam. I went through my, Pueblo Citizens 10-point platform for Colorado and asked him, each and every one what he thought about it. Now, I believe he said we should protect health care. I asked him why he was a Democrat, and he said because Democrats care about the poor and they care about the vulnerable, whereas the Republicans only care about the elite. And that's right, that's true. So that's good. He will totally protect the marijuana industry. He's embedded in the marijuana industry, so he's personally making money himself. But he also wants to expand the marijuana industry when he gets, the gauntlet. And he also leans towards the decriminalization of all drugs. He says the Netherlands model is what he would, model. He'd be modeled on the Netherlands model when it comes to decriminalizing all drugs, ending the war on drugs, standing up to the feds. He said he would call the National Guard out to stand up to the feds. Kerry Kennedy wouldn't do that, nor would Mike Johnston. I think that only Adam Garrity would do. He agrees with unions but believes they had their time and place, so I explained to him that I think labor is more important than capital, and he seemed to I think he was sympathetic towards it, but he points out all these corrupt unions, like the police union. He says the police union, covers up their own, so that means they can go around killing people, such as Fremont County was the woman, they found the bloody, everything, bloody rope, bloody socks, in the deputy's private storage unit. What the fuck, Fremont County sheriffs? What are y'all doing? Sitting there killing people and then hiding the evidence in your storage locker so it can be discovered later? That's, first, you're stupid and you're not good at covering it up, and you're killing people. Or you're covering up the crime. You're covering up somebody being killed. So the police union, they're going to protect all these deputies? Is that what the police union in Fremont? So Adam Garrity pointed out the problem with police unions. He says that pretty much helps with their corruption. He's absolutely right. It helps with the thin blue line, right? But if I'm the sheriff and somebody kills somebody, you don't represent me. Can we agree that murder is wrong? I mean, I'd like to think that rape and violence and stealing, I'd like to think those are wrong. But if we can't, as a society, say that murder is wrong, then we don't have a basis for a foundation whatsoever. So if you think that it's okay for the Fremont County deputy to either A, cover up the murder, or B, do the murder himself, then you're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. If I'm a sheriff, that guy goes to jail. He don't just get fired. He goes straight to jail, and he gets charged just like anybody else. Just because you got a badge doesn't mean that you're above the law. In fact, in a working democracy, the rule of law means nobody is above the law. Nobody is above the law. You cannot kill somebody and get away with it. It took 24 years to try to kill that Nathan Dunlap, and then you're just going to go around and kill that one. Adam Garrity and I explained about why I like unions, but I do see the problem with them. Unions historically give us the weekend, the 8-hour workday. They ended child labor, the health benefits, health care. They've done a lot. Worker safety, the OSHA standards. So they've done a lot for, not just working class people, but all Americans. So the unions have lobbyists, and they are fighting. It's always been the unions. So historically, I think unions are important, but I've been a part of a union, and I wasn't happy with them. So I can understand that, unions, they need to do something different. I don't know what to do, but he also said he cares about the environment. He says something about foreclosures, curb police violence. He said actually that if a police officer breaks the law, they should get twice the punishment as the citizens. I like that. The police should have a higher threshold. There should be a higher threshold for what we expect out of our police than what we expect out of our regular citizens. But it's kind of like Donald Trump. For every one regulation that you pass, 2 are going to be repealed. So that gives you an understanding that the police are going to be held to a higher standard. Under a Garrity administration, under a Garrity Colorado, the police will be held to a higher standard. So good, he's not just a Nazi bootlicker. He questions things, and I like that. When it comes to privatizing, private prisons, demilitarizing the police, I think he would be good on that because he's criticizing the police. What would he do for the homeless? He says Colorado's got a shit ton of land. Why don't we just put the homeless on this land? There are 22 empty houses for every single homeless person that we have. For every one homeless person who's living under a bridge, cold, watching everybody with cars and houses drive right past them, hating on them, shouting shit, throwing shit at them. They got to be worried about, getting fucked with by the police, getting fucked with by criminals. They have to worry about getting fucked with by everybody. So a homeless person, for every single one of these homeless people that's out here on our streets just trying to survive, eating out of garbage cans, hopefully getting a buck or two here or there from some good-natured, person, they have to also know, they don't have to, but there's 22 empty houses for every single homeless person. 22 empty houses. So that just means we don't give a shit. We're just not putting this shit together. If there's a homeless person, put that motherfucker in a house. Today, right now. There's an empty house and there's a homeless person. Put those two together. You worry about the liability, sign the liability away. Get them in the house. It's better for the house. Let's just listen to Adam Garrity in his own words, okay? This is the part where he says that he will fight for the marijuana industry.
Especially with the Attorney General saying that you're not a good person. If you smoke weed, you're not a good person. That's what he said.
Yeah, I don't agree with that as the Attorney General at all. Like, I think it's the same as smoking a cigarette at a bar or a restaurant, recreationally.
What would you do with the feds if they tried to come in and shut some of the pot shops down?
That's why I believe the governor is in charge of the National Guard, and the National Guard is meant to protect the state.
And then he says not only will he protect the marijuana industry, but he believes in the decriminalization of all drugs. And he believes that the Netherlands model should be employed here in Colorado.
What about, okay, so that's good that you'll protect marijuana. I am actually in favor. I feel like everywhere that marijuana or the legalization or the alternatives for the war on drugs have been implemented, they've been successful. And everywhere that the war on drugs has been implemented, it's been a failure. So would you be in favor of ending the war on drugs? Or maybe decriminalizing all drugs?
Yeah, I think we should definitely follow the Netherlands.
Yeah.
What they did is they decriminalized drugs, set up centers where addicts can go to get treatment dramatically.
Netherlands,
Like
Portugal did it too.
Crimes like such as prostitution, which I'm not saying like for prostitution, but it shouldn't be a crime. Like look
Right.
at Las Vegas and Germany.
So
How
you believe that we have a right to our own body as Americans, as citizens of Colorado?
Exactly.
Even though Adam Garrity hadn't heard of ranked choice voting, he heard me out. He heard my explanation for it, and he said that it was better than the Electoral College.
See what I'm saying? So, like, if you were to apply it to the general election, you could vote for Jill Stein, but when she doesn't, when she only gets 1%, that knocks Jill Stein off, and then your second choice, would be whoever, and then that's where that vote would go.
Oh, I understand. Yeah. It sounds better than the Electoral College.
Yeah. Well, take a look.
Reason why Adam Garrity is a Democrat.
Why are you a Democrat? If you don't mind me
Why
asking.
am I a Democrat?
Yeah.
I was raised by a Republican on my father's side and a Democrat on my mother's side. I was raised mainly by my mother, who's a Democrat. And I've seen how the Democrats care more about the people.
Right.
And the Republicans seem to be care more about what the corporate interest has paid them off.
Right.
So that's why I'm more of a Democrat.
Yeah. No,
Here, Adam Garrity is talking about police corruption and how he sees that we are not living in Mayberry, and he wants to see the police to be more like Andy Griffith.
thing up, and it's just crazy. I mean, putting a badge on doesn't change your character or your virtue. If anything, I think it would make you more likely to be corrupt, wouldn't it? Because you have power now, and if you're a sheriff, then you would know where you can hide things and where there's holes in the system, so you could probably get away with a whole bunch of bullshit.
And that's why people get those jobs, so they can't get away with their organized crime.
I thought it was to help the community, to be like Andy Griffith, right? To like go around de-escalating situations and just.
And that's how it should be, and that's one of the main reasons I'm running for governor is because I'm so tired of the police corruption. Where our children are scared to go to the police. Like 5 kids I will tell them, don't go to the police for help.
He agrees that the Sweden's trash to electric program is credible. He likes it. He thinks that it's obviously good. In fact, he wants to have a battery sort of based system instead of a grid based system, so that way we could utilize wind and solar in the privacy of our own homes and our own properties. So he is about, going green. He is about caring about the environment.
What about the Sweden's trash to electric? Have you heard about this plan? Are you in favor of it?
Oh, yeah. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? You get rid of trash, and it turns I guess the critics, they say you're burning trash. So burning trash, you have to do something with that smoke, right? So they're saying it's not green because you burn trash. But I disagree. I mean, if it's green to shove it into a landfill, that's not green. So unless we're shooting it down into space, I think incinerating it's a good idea.
And there's ways to filter it as well. And I really like the way that in Japan, how they charge people a certain amount for their trash, and then you're able to recycle it. You don't have to pay waste trash fee at all. If you organize your recycling correctly, it's free trash.
Garrity also talks about a very novel idea of how to solve the homelessness problems. Get them homes. He says we have all this land, In fact, he's for land reform specifically. And then he also talks about right now how the homeless, they can't get any good sleep out, living outdoors, nor do they have an address. So that means they can't even get an ID. They're not even citizens, and he just doesn't believe that that's right.
Yeah, Sweden actually is, they're so successful, they're buying Norway's trash. They ran out of trash. It's like, damn it, where's it? We need some more trash. So, I guess I got just one specific question and one sort of general question left. The poor and the homeless, what do you want to do about them? I feel, just a little preface about it, just capitalism. I feel like that's the biggest example of capitalism failing is the fact that we have homeless. and even
So,
poverty too.
and we can easily solve it. The main problem that people have when they're homeless, getting jobs and stuff, they don't have an address.
Right.
You can't get an ID without an address, so you're basically, the way our system's designed now is they're not a person. That's not right. So
Yeah.
Colorado has enough land that we can designate land for homeless people.
Nice.
And,
Yeah.
and allow them to have an address to get an ID and a place to sleep, because the hardest part of being homeless is you can't get any sleep out there.
Yeah.
And if you can't get any sleep, how can you live?
It just seems like it's a coordination failure, man. I've once heard this one statistic: 22 houses for every. We have 22 abandoned houses for every homeless person.
Mm-hmm.
So just like what you said with the land, and we got houses, and we got all the land. So all it would take is just somebody to give a damn. You know what I mean? Like, and I think it's I don't know. It's like having an injury. I've been injured, and if you don't go to the hospital right away, you just feel like you're making the injury worse. I feel like that's the same thing with homelessness. Like, they're not a person, but they're also out in the streets, and I would be more resentful, or you resigned, to the situation. Oh, well, this is my life now. But if you still keep your pride, wouldn't it your resentment just grow more and more? Like, everybody just passing by you, nobody giving a crap, everybody got cars, everybody got houses, and nobody gives a crap. That would be...
Yeah, give somebody hope in the future, something to look forward to. And we have enough land that we can do a non-profit employment for the homeless to work.
Yeah.
Gathering hay off of Colorado's public lands that are not in use.
Yeah, or just have jobs in the community too. You could have somebody, I don't know, doing landscaping or something. Is there
a huge problem on the police force is the problem that the good cops are the ones that get fired. They're the ones that get blackballed and exiled and, pushed out. So Adam Garrity believes in whistleblower protections. So he will give whistleblower protections to any of the good cops that wants to, point out any of their colleagues, crimes. If I'm a police officer and my colleagues are committing crimes, well, those are not my colleagues.
Yeah, definitely. That makes a lot of sense what you're saying there. Like you were saying with the police brutality and stuff, and the problem with the prison system.
Yeah.
I would try to immediately work on making, when the police break the laws, to have double the punishment of a normal citizen.
Yeah, that's easy. That's nice. So
yeah, right away.
if a police officer I guess beats their kids, then they get the double the amount of sentence that the citizen would if they did that.
Yes, and as well as making it truly anonymous for police to whistleblow.
Nice.
When they see corruption in the department, so that way they can't have backlash.
Whistleblower protections.
So I'd like to set up a team like almost like Elliot Ness Party.
Yeah.
Not for prohibition, but
nice. An untouchable though. An untouchable crew.
Yeah. And mainly to go after the judges that there's a lot of judges, a gentleman that made up the checking routing numbers went after corrupt judges and discovered that they were getting money from court fees and stuff sent directly overseas to slush funds.